In this video, as promised, it's going to be up to you to wire up the remove functionality for our Notes application. We're going to do this in 3 separate challenges as opposed to one big one, so we can make sure we're all headed in the right direction along the way. Right here, I have the challenge comments for the first of 3 challenges for this video. The goal here is to set up the command option and a function for removing notes. So step 1. Set up the remove command to take a required title option, and that should be passed in as a string. So when you want to remove a note, you have to remove it by specifying the title of the note to delete. So if I wanted to delete this first note, I would call the remove command, setting the title option equal to the letter T. Now, step 2, you're going to create and export a remove note function from notes.js. Much like we have add note over here, which takes title and body, you're going to create remove note, which just takes in the title. Step 3, you are going to call remove note in the remove command handler, much like we call add note in the add command handler right here. Step 4, when you actually call remove note, it's not going to do anything important just yet. That's one of the other challenges. For now, you can go ahead and just use console.log in that function to log out the title, making sure it's getting passed through correctly. Last up, you're going to test your work. You should be able to run this command. Here I am using the remove command and passing in a title, and I should see this string print from a console.log in the remove note function in notes.js. So take some time to knock that out, get everything up and running, and actually test your work. When you're done, come back and click play. How'd you do? Let's go ahead and walk through the process together. So step 1, we want to set up that title option for the remove command. Now the remove command is something that already exists. We created it several videos ago. We just need to customize it a little bit. And remember, to add an option or multiple options, we specify that builder property, which is itself an object. On here, we can list out the options we want to support. In this case, we just need title, so I'll set that up as an object value as well, which is exactly what we did for the add command previously. Next up, we're going to configure title. I'll set up a describe property. Right here, we could use something like note title. Then we can set up demand to make this a required option. So demand option is going to equal true. And then the last property, which we've set up previously, and we're going to set up here, is type, and we'll be setting type equal to the string. Now we have the title in place, and that wraps up step 1. We have the command ready to go. Step 2, we need to create and export a remove note function from notes.js. So over here, alongside of add note, I'll add it down below. The order is not important. We'll create a remove note function. So right here, I'll set that variable up. I'll create the function, and as I mentioned, this one just needs the title of the note to delete. Now, once we have the function defined, we have to make sure we export it. So down below on this object, this needs to get exported. We didn't export load notes and save notes because those weren't required by any other files. Down below, we are going to add remove note to the object we export, and the value for that property will come from the remove note function variable. Perfect. Now we have it exported, and over inside of app.js, we can go ahead and actually call it in the remove command handler. So down here, in the command handler, we're going to go ahead and actually execute it. Now I'm going to go ahead and call notes.remove note. We are going to pass to it just the title. Remember, I wanted you to pass the title through and then log it from this function. So right here, we can access that by first naming the argv argument like we've done previously. This is where we get access to all of the arguments in our handler. Then we're going to pass in argv.title, which matches up with the option name we chose. So at this point, we are passing things through to remove note, and that wraps up the next step. So call remove note in the remove command handler. Next up, have remove note log the title of the note to be removed. So for the moment, we're going to add a little placeholder dummy function, console.log, just printing the title. We'll actually wire that up in the next challenge. And the final step was to test our work. So from the terminal, we're going to make sure this command works. Let's make sure first we save the file, and then we'll execute it. So node app.js with remove, like we have right here, and I'll specify the title option, listing out in quotes after the equal sign, the title of the note to remove. And I'll just use some title as I specified up above. If I run the program, what do I get? I get some title printing, which is exactly what I was hoping for. We now have the option coming into the program. The remove command knows what to do with it, passing it off to remove note, and now remove note has the data it needs to actually remove the note. And that's going to be the second challenge for this video. Right here, the goal is to wire up the remove note function, that function which currently just logs the title to the console. The first thing you have to do is make sure to load in the existing notes. We need an array of notes so we can actually try to remove something from it. Once we have that array of notes in the remove note function, you're going to use the filter method on it like we did in add note. This time you're going to use the filter method to filter out the matching note, if any. You're going to keep all of the notes that didn't match. So you're going to keep all of the notes whose title didn't match the title that was passed in. So this will leave you with an array of notes that should be kept. And all you're going to do is use our existing save functionality to save that array to our JSON file. Once you're done, you want to test your work. Try it with a title that exists. You should see that note removed from our JSON file, and the other ones should stay. Then try it with a title that doesn't exist, and you should see no change to the JSON file. Take as much time as you need to wire this one up. Feel free to test your work, use anything we've covered so far, and use the internet. Use your Q&A in the course or whatever you need to get this challenge done. All right, take a moment to pause the video. When you're done, come back and click play. Let's get to it. Step one, we have to load in those existing notes. So over in notes.js, much like we did up above, for add note, we have to use load notes. So right here, a new const called notes, or called whatever you chose, and we will use the load notes function, which takes no arguments since it's just reading data from our file. Next up, we have to create an array of the notes to keep, and we're going to use filter to get that done. So right here, I can create a constant, and I can call this whatever I'd like. I can say something like notes to keep, and this will get its value from whatever comes back from notes.filter, which is the method I wanted you to use. We used this previously to find duplicates. We're going to use this now to find all of the notes we want to keep. I'm going to pass to it a function, and we already know this function gets called one time for each note in the notes array, and we get access to the individual object right here. I return true if I want to keep it in this new array. I return false if I don't. So I want to return true when it's not a match. So right here, that's going to be when note.title is not equal to the title property. Those are the ones I want to keep. If the two match up, I want to remove it, and that'll end up returning false, which is correct. So right here, what do? Well, we have our new array and we have to save it. So I'm going to call save notes, the function we already created, and I am going to pass to it notes to keep, which is our brand new array. Now that we have this in place, we are all done and we can test out our work. I'm going to make sure to save all of my files, and we're going to use the remove command with a note that exists and one that does not. So down below, let's go ahead and first try to remove a note that exists. I'm going to remove this first one with the title T. Node app.js remove. We will add on that title option inside of quotes after that equal sign, the letter T. I run the command, and a couple seconds later, VSC should see the file changed and things will reload. If it doesn't, you can always use this refresh button, which tends to get the job done. Right here, though, I can see we now have just two notes. That first note was correctly removed. Now let's go ahead and try something else. I'm going to run the same command again. This time it should not find a match, which means that nothing should change. Right here, we're just hoping that our two notes still stay in place. It looks like they are indeed still in place. And that means everything is wired up correctly and we are able to successfully remove notes from our JSON file. Now that we have this in place, we are all done with this second challenge, and we're going to move on to the third one, which is much simpler and a bit more fun. This is all about getting the user useful information when they run the command using console.log and Chalk. Right here, the goal, use Chalk to provide useful logs for remove. So if a note is indeed removed, I'd like you to print note removed with a green background. If no note is removed, I'd like you to print no note found with a red background. So the goal here is to let the user know exactly how things went. Down below, one of these commands worked and the other failed, but you wouldn't really know that based off of the output, which is nothing. So take some time to knock that one out. I'm not going to give you any more hints than that. Actually, I'll give you one hint. You only have to change the code in the remove note function. All right, knock that out. When you're done, come back and click play. All right, that is the last challenge for this video. Let's go ahead and knock it out. Over in notes.js, we can figure out if a note was removed or not by comparing the length of our two arrays. If they're the same, then no note was removed. If they're different, then we know something was indeed removed. So right here, we can go ahead and create an if statement for that. If we are going to check if notes dot length is greater than notes to keep dot length. If it is indeed greater than, we know a note was removed. What are we going to do? We're going to print our green message. So the first thing we have to do is load Chalk into this file as it is not imported. Const Chalk equals require. We are requiring the Chalk npm library. There's no need to reinstall it as it's already installed in the project. And once we have it loaded in, we can configure it down below. Right here, I'm going to use console.log to print my message. I'll be using Chalk to set up my color scheme. I want to use green, and I'm going to inverse things to have the green background. Then I'm going to pass to it my message, and I said I would print, what did I say? Note removed. Over here, note removed, perfect. Now we can actually move the save notes call up here as well. There's no need to save the notes unless the length is different. Next up, we can set up our else clause. This is only going to run if the notes.length array is not greater than notes.keep, which means nothing was removed. Right here, we're going to print a single message using console.log. That's going to be chalk.red.inverse, passing to it our little message, and I said no note found. Over here, no note found. Perfect. Now that we have this in place, we can go ahead and test things out down below. I'm going to save all of my files. I'm going to rerun the previous command. Now we already deleted that note, so I would expect our red message, and that is exactly what we get. No note found. Now I'll rerun the previous command, swapping out the title value. So I'm going to remove T from inside of those quotes, and I'll replace it with one of my two notes over here. Let's go ahead and remove the note with the title list space 2. So down below, list space 2, I run it, and what do I get? I get my green message showing up, which is fantastic. We are all done with the challenge. We now have the remove command getting its job done, and it's doing it in a way that actually provides useful information back to the user. That is it for the challenges in this video. I'm going to remove my challenge comments, and over inside of notes.js, we have a nice remove note function wiring up the second of our 4 commands. We now have ways to add a note. We have ways to remove a note. The only 2 left are related to reading a note and reading all your notes, listing out the titles, and we're going to knock those out in the coming lectures. Before we go, let's actually add this Chalk functionality to add note as well. So right here, we have our new note added message. I'm going to cut that string out, and I'll use Chalk dot right here, green dot inverse, providing the same message we had before. Then down below that, I'll use a red background for note title taken. So chalk.red.inverse, passing in our string. And there we go. That's where we're going to stop for this one. I'll see you in the next video where we continue on with the program.